I'll let you get your notes.
Yeah, the ones that I made for,
For
this one.
this and never
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
No. That might be a good time to change into remakes.
Okay, let's do that. Tell me again your list of remakes that we were going to talk
Okay.
about.
My points I said are fresh, new, can we, should we, vibes,
Yes.
3 question marks, and cheap cash grab. Ugh.
This has always been the plan.
You gonna be better today, do you think?
I hope so. I don't know what we were on last time, but
Nothing, and that was the problem. Well, for me
yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. That was
Yeah.
the problem. Anyway, I mean, we probably start again. Do we do like a welcome back?
We probably
Are we
should.
gonna? I don't know. I have no
Because the
plan.
last one was like an hour long anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, we might as well split them up
New episode. Part 2,
instead of
baby.
making
How was
it
it
instead of
how
making
was it
one 3 hour long. Yeah.
Yeah. How did we stretch that out into an hour long? I don't remember saying anything.
Yeah, I think it was an hour of us just looking at each other.
All very excellent points, really.
Yes, I thought. And then the ones that I had written down as examples, live action remakes, and they're all just under the same umbrella.
Uh-huh.
The Mummy, The Batman,
Uh-huh.
Ghostbusters,
Okay, so basically, like
and that's what I have.
your last few options are things that I really enjoyed.
Yes, me as
But
well.
live action remakes are things that we usually tend to not enjoy, and in
I
fact hate.
actively hate them. I actively wish them harm.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I think, and I don't want to call any like specific live action remake out because I don't want to think about it specifically because of how they make me sad. But
Oh, okay. I was like, I'll do it.
if you want to, you're more than welcome to. If you're like
Okay.
in a feral mood today. But I
Fine.
think a lot of them can be summed up, like a lot of them suffer from very similar problems, which we can talk about later. I just found a bug bite on the back of my knee.
Mm,
Where did I even get a bug bite? I'm never outside.
maybe
Nope. Nope. Don't say it.
maybe you were infiltrated, perhaps.
No.
I don't want
I
it to be
have
true.
ironclad defenses.
Well, then
That's
it must be
upsetting.
some other thing.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome again to Women in STEM, which of course this week stands for Should We, question mark, truly embrace the source material, medium, and meaning.
And there you have it.
Tune in next week.
Women in SwTESMMaM. We were going to talk about remakes because I'm pretty sure we said everything we needed to say about adaptations, plus
Yes,
a bunch of nothing. So
that's also true.
we're done with that.
Yeah. Never talk about it or think about it ever again.
Ever.
Shameful.
It's dead to us.
Right. Well, I think a lot of problems that live action remakes tend to have are exactly what you just said, is that they either are too close to the original and it's boring to rewatch it because you're like, why am I
Yeah,
watching
like I've
this
already
worst
seen
version
this.
of the one that I love?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I already
Or they
saw this
go,
but better in 1996.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I am gonna bring up specifics.
Okay, do
Lion
it.
King.
Yeah,
Bad.
that's the one.
I
I saw
know that's
that.
the one you were thinking of.
Especially because it's not even
Exactly.
live. Like it's just reanimated
It's
work.
still Mhm.
Just to recap
Yeah.
for anybody who fell asleep in the last one.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
did, so it was a helpful reminder for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
I didn't want to name any names.
It's just 20 solid minutes of silence trying to wake me
Yeah.
up.
She said, let's talk about remakes.
Okay.
The good, the
Um,
bad, and the ugly of them, which you have a list of, I think.
I do. I grouped all live action remakes under one umbrella.
Called Shouldn't
Um,
Have Done It. Why did you do that?
yeah,
Stop
that's the
doing
one.
that. Stop it.
hmm
Mhm.
Enough.
Enough
We're
is
done.
enough.
hmm
Yeah.
I have The Last Airbender, both the movie and the TV show.
Okay.
Peter Pan, the new one, which I should have put under live action remake. I said I put all the live action remakes under one umbrella. Let me just
And then
list off
immediately
several
mentions
more live action.
Last Airbender and Peter Pan, both of which have live action remakes.
They do, that's true.
Yeah.
The Mummy,
Mhm.
the Batman, and Ghostbusters 2016.
Wonderful.
Oh my gosh. Do we count Mad Max Fury Road? That
As a
one's like a
remake,
sequel. Yeah.
I might put it under sequels. And we can save it to
Okay.
talk about with Jason.
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna have so much to talk about.
Yeah, that'll be good.
He's gonna be really excited. So the points that I made about, what can make or break a remake is it fresh, new? Is it a cheap cash grab? What are the vibes like? Can we and should we?
Hmm.
A lot of the problems I think that the live action remakes have is that
They
technically you
don't
can
answer
do
the
them.
last question. They say, "Can we?"
No.
Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah.
Shouldn't have done it.
Shouldn't have done it.
Any of them.
Pretty
I
much,
liked
yeah, pretty much ever.
No. I have liked one live action remake that I've seen, and it was a live action Cinderella,
Hmm.
which was like the first one that they did.
Oh, the one with Lily James.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Kit Harington.
yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah,
But they
and
could
I'll
have
tell
just
you
put while they
why.
were ahead, especially since there was already like the Broadway Cinderella. There's already a movie of that that's live action.
Yeah, and you have 15 different like Cinderella stories.
Hmm.
You have a lot of different versions of Cinderella, and that's part of the fun of it, right? Is that you can have a lot of different versions and still keep them interesting to watch. Like I watch, you can watch the original Cinderella, which is a very distinct style of animation from the 50s. It's
Hmm.
uh, a unique story. It's interesting. It's pretty to watch visually. And the
Hmm.
live action
Yep, the
one with Lily
classic.
James, it's a classic, exactly. The live action one with Lily James, it changed the story up enough to the point where it was, still fun and interesting to watch.
Hmm.
Visually, it's stunning. The costumes, the colors, very vibrant, very bright. It doesn't feel like a cheaply made movie. It feels like they put a lot of care and effort and thought into it. And, a lot of these things add up to making it like that's a pretty fun watch.
Hmm. Like it
I
wasn't
don't know what
necessary for them to make, but it's not like aggravating that they made it.
yeah,
Because it's
that
totally just
one.
like a fun movie. Yeah. Whereas like there you may have heard of this, there was a different Cinderella that was made with a certain pop singer. I don't know if you heard of that. If not, I won't talk about it.
No, it doesn't sound familiar to me.
Okay, let's move on then.
Like no,
Because here's the
I had
thing. You can make all these different versions of the same story, but at a certain point, like if it's unrecognizable as the original story, just make a new thing.
just make a new thing.
This is a
Yeah.
completely different character. Her life is different, her motivations are different. Like there's nothing connecting this character to the original
No,
except the name, I
the
guess.
name.
So just
Yeah,
give her a different name,
give her a different name. And the prince as well. The
and
prince
then
is
it's just like a
totally
different
different.
story. You're right. And then
Yeah.
it might as well just be
And
like, oh, this is a new princess story. You're coming at it from a
yeah.
different modern angle, and that would be fine. I feel like at least half of the frustration of this movie is that it's like it's under the name of something that people are familiar with and love and appreciate as a classic, and it has like almost no connection to the classic.
Yes. Which is an issue that a lot of the other Disney live action remakes have. But with this one specifically, the Amazon Cinderella, um, like a lot of those are exactly the problems. That's why it's so frustrating because like a lot of Cinderella's problem in the original story was that she could not be her own person, right?
Mhm.
She was being practically held captive by her abusive stepmother, forced to do
Right.
the chores and like working her fingers to the bone. But in this new Cinderella, she has a dream of becoming her own, like
She's gonna be a girl
a
boss
dressmaker,
businesswoman. Yeah.
a girl boss businesswoman. Exactly. And she has time somehow to do this. And that's, I think, where the main problem stems from is like the original Cinderella didn't even have time for a dream other than like getting out. You
Mhm.
know, she couldn't even have any kind of idea of what she would want to do because she
Right.
simply did not have the time.
Because she's
And
like
that was the problem, right?
right. That's like she has kind of two main problems that she has to overcome: poverty and an abusive living situation, right? So this is a powerful story for a lot of people because she's able to get out and find happiness and like discover who she is as a person outside of
Yeah.
being poor and being mistreated.
Yes. And that comes through the kindness and the help from her fairy godmother
Mm-hmm.
and from the prince. And another problem that I have with this movie, and again, I have not seen it. I've only seen like
Oh
clips of
yeah,
it and other
no, me
video
either.
reviews of it.
we
Heaven
should we
forbid, I would
should put a
never.
disclaimer. We have
Yes.
not watched this and we're not going to.
And I never will. I
All of
don't
this is
care.
based on hearsay, cultural osmosis, and the clips that we've seen against our will.
Yes, yes. I didn't even want to know Camila Cabello was in this movie. And yet that was, yeah. And
I don't
okay,
want to
another
know
problem I
anything
have.
about her. Why do I know so much about her life
I know,
and
and her
her?
relationships.
I
Why
don't
is
want to
she
know
so in
that.
the like cultural front? Like, what is
Yeah,
this? What? Why? I don't want to know anything about her.
yeah. I don't
Like,
want to
no
know anything
disrespect to
about
her,
like
but
almost any celebrity's life in any capacity. I don't want to know about their
no.
relationships.
What I know about Jack Black, I know that he is sexy. I know that he can
Hmm.
sing.
Hmm. He's a musician. He's a physical actor. He's a voice actor.
What can't he do?
What can't he do?
He's my bestie. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Going back to the Cinderella, I think part of the problem with the prince specifically is that his character is like a jackass in the movie.
Hmm.
Like he's entitled, he's snotty, he doesn't want like the privilege that he has,
Hmm.
which I think they could have taken in an interesting direction.
Yeah.
Um, but they just made him unlikable. And again, I don't know for sure, but from what I've seen, I like he just straight up seems like a
He just
douchebag.
seems unlikable.
Yeah, which part a lot of the other adaptations of Cinderella that I've seen, thinking specifically Ever After,
Hmm.
they kind of took a similar
That's what I
approach
was
with him
gonna say.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But he
He's like
turns
he
out
doesn't.
to be likable, right? He just has to
Yes,
have some like inciting moment where he can reframe his idea of like the privilege that he has. He's like, I don't want to be the prince. I don't want to have all this whatever, and I feel so boxed in. And then she's like, do you realize the opportunity that you have? Do you
yeah,
realize
to
how
do
much
so
you can
much
help
good.
people and you can do so much good and you have all this power and privilege and influence? And
Yes,
so from that, he changes his mind and becomes a better person.
yes.
Which is how like
It's a
if you're gonna
beautiful
include
story.
like a rich entitled person in your story who was also the love interest, they should change
Hmm.
their mind in that way.
Yes, absolutely. Like that's a really strong point about Pride and Prejudice is that
Mm-hmm.
it, has that growth between both characters. And another thing I like about Ever
Exactly.
After as well is that it's
It's a
you know,
fantastic
Drew
movie.
Barrymore, it's a fantastic movie.
It's like
Drew
pretty
Barrymore
close to
does a really
perfect.
good job. It
Yeah.
is. It's very nearly there. I haven't watched it in a long time, and I'm actually gonna write it down on my list right
Mm-hmm.
now to rewatch because
Good idea.
it's fantastic. But uh Drew Barrymore is a really she's capable. She's strong, but
Mm-hmm.
she's still trapped. Like I love the scene where her stepsister, is taking her mother's dress and she has her book and she chases her around the house and is
Mm-hmm.
like gonna hit her and probably kill her. I don't know. Or the
Yeah.
scene where the prince is running through her field and she throws apples at him, or the scene where they're like captured by the gypsies and he's like, "Take anything you can carry, bro." And she's like, "Anything I
Like,
can carry? I'm gonna take this. I'm
good
gonna
thing I'm beefy. Yeah. And
she
I
takes
think
the
that something
knife."
that's interesting there is like knowing that this was like her father's home. So she has a sense of pride and a sense of ownership over this land because it was her father's, and now she works hard on it every day, right? This is
Yeah,
like her thing, and you're not going to trespass and you're not going to steal my stuff
yeah,
because she has like pride in it, right? Which is like
Yeah.
an interesting
Part of the reason why she stays, which is another
Yeah.
motivation there. Like,
yeah. It's an interesting element. Instead of her being like completely held captive, she kind of like she doesn't want to be in that situation, but she wants to be in that place
mhm.
because it's
And she has the
hers.
help of like the other staff working there as well.
Yeah, she
They
has the
adore
servants who were
her
her friends and
and
like
she loves
essentially
them.
raised her and she loves them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
It's
is
such
these are
it's
really
a
interesting
complex.
elements, right? And it's it's
Yeah.
very complex. And I feel like if
And
you're
she
gonna
doesn't Oh, sorry.
no, just like if you're gonna remake a Cinderella story like this with some of these elements, but not like all of them, it's like almost the antithesis of the Cinderella story, you know. She like meets this guy who's like rich and a jerk, and she also like has hobbies and interests and can like easily leave her situation. That's a different story.
Yeah, so like what are you doing, bro?
The whole point of this, like, she has motivations and other interests, but she still has this element of like that she is in poverty, she can't escape it, and she is in an abusive living situation and she can't escape it, even with all those
Mhm.
other elements, right? And he is like kind of rude, but he has an opportunity to learn and grow, and so they can really like actually love each other and be good for each other instead of him just like
Yeah.
being some handsome nobody. Like,
With the blandest personality.
yeah.
And I like too that she, you know, does need help. You know, she doesn't do it all on her own, but she's also not a total like she's not totally helpless either. She's not powerless. She, you know, she gets herself out of that like arranged marriage after her stepmother sells her to One Direction. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, the Count or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
And she's like,
but
hey, just so you know, I could easily skin you alive right now.
yeah. He's like, understand, please.
Hmm.
Um, you know, but it doesn't come across as like Mary Sue or like too girl bossified. It's,
Right.
you know, she's just a very grounded, very real character who's not helpless by any means, but does need help. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, she doesn't need to become the princess or the queen necessarily. But
But she does need a better situation than the one that she has.
yeah,
And
yeah, and
she like is able to look outside of just her situation and see like other people are also in this situation. Like, you know, when she goes to the palace for the first time to like free the one
oh my
servant,
god,
and the
yeah,
prince like lets him go, and she's like, you didn't even take a second look at all the other men in that. Like,
yeah,
hello, right? She clearly has like a vision of, if I am in this situation and it's so hard, other people who are in this situation or worse also need help, right? So as soon as she gets the help that she needs, you know that she's going to take the next step to make that available for other people.
yeah, absolutely. On the side note, that scene where, you know,
Yeah.
he's running back to her and she's running and they're going across the garden and they're both weeping. I saw that for the first time at like 2 years old. That was a formative experience for me. Even still, I'm like a little choked up
Yeah,
about it. Like,
it's
when
so
has anyone ever depicted love in such a pure,
Mhm.
like perfect way? That is
Yeah. And the whole movie is right that like
astounding.
at the beginning you see like her relationship with her father, and they like
Oh,
love and care for each other so much, and they like understand each other and they're friends,
yeah.
right? And then like he leaves and it's very sad, but she's able to make friends with like the neighbor boy and the servants, right?
Oh
So she
yes,
still
and they're both
has
covered
like,
in mud.
yeah, she still has like so much like healthy realistic love in her life.
Hmm.
And then she meets
It's
the prince, she teaches him how to love. It's so good.
good movie. Good
So
movie. I almost forgot what movie we were talking about originally.
yeah, who cares? We're talking about Ever After now.
One more thing too before we move on is the costuming. Her dress at the end,
She's
her
gorgeous.
oh my
She's
gosh.
gorgeous.
It is astounding.
Hmm.
Um and Leonardo da Vinci's in it.
Yeah, he's just like a side
He's
character
there.
in this story. I love that
Yeah.
every character feels so like realistic and so grounded, to the point that like Leonardo da Vinci is one of the characters in the story, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
He's
It's
just
like an
like,
afterthought. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he's
he's
just like a
also there by the
kooky
way.
friend that like, I don't know, gave her a kite and also wings. Who knows? Who cares?
He walks on water at one point. It's very funny.
Just pretty much for fun. Yeah.
On the costumes, though, the other thing about the Cinderella with the pop star, who is not an actress, by the way. Why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep hiring pop stars, pop singers to star in movies? They're not like the two are not interchangeable.
Yeah.
Hire an actress who can also sing. Not the first,
Right.
it should be, an actor who
of
can sing, not a singer who maybe can act. I don't know. Let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Like,
but
from
anyway,
what I saw, she did a pretty decent job.
There's costumes or something.
Yes, the costumes. They look so cheap. This is Amazon. This is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
How come Ever After, a movie from like 20 years ago?
Are they supposed to be a film studio? No. But if they have the resources, they should do a better job.
Yes. Come on, Jeff. Where's that money going? We know it's not going to your employees. We know it's not going to the costumes. Is it literally just lining your pockets? That's pathetic. Buy a better dress. Hire a seamstress.
Do better. This is
Do better.
This is also a side note. Which we've actually probably already talked about before. Did I send you that Mina Lay video about the costumes in Cruella?
Yes, you did.
She makes only good points.
That's true.
And so the side note is just that a lot of modern movie remakes that have like billion-dollar budgets have either bad costumes or costumes that don't make sense for the characters. And why?
Yes. Yeah.
It shouldn't be that
again,
way.
Like Ever After, the dresses, even just her like peasant dresses, they're lovely. They feel real. Like I feel like I can feel the texture on those skirts and like her aprons and the layers and the boots, and you go to the nice dresses and it's like, wow, that took someone 18 years to make probably. You can feel the quality of it.
So nice and so well made, and they fit the characters and they fit the story
perfectly. I think also a good example is in Stardust. Evane's dress when she first falls. Because this is another fantastic movie.
Which is an adaptation.
It is one we maybe did I read? I didn't write it down. It's another really good one, but it's it's very simple, but it fits perfectly the character of a star. I watched a documentary once where they were trying to pick the perfect fabric for her. And they ended up on that fabric that looks like water just flowing over her. It's liquidy. It's very like silvery, shimmery.
Yeah.
But it's not super like complex or detailed. There's not a lot of grand like.
Yeah.
What am I trying to? It's not super over the top, but extravagant. Exactly. Thank you. But it is the perfect dress for her in that moment. And they have other beautiful dresses later. The blue one that she wears. The royal costumes are exquisite. They're so lovely.
Yeah.
You don't have to go so over the top in order to make a costume or an outfit feel like a quality statement, because that dress is so simple. It doesn't even have any like detail work on the hem. It's it's one simple style of fabric, but it adds so much to the scene and to the character and to the world that they're in. Like, you don't have to go over the top in order to make something feel quality, but you should make something quality.
Yeah. And like make it make sense.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were talking about remakes.
We were.
And we were saying that most live action remakes are not worth having been made.
Yes. The thing
the
with
exceptions being Ever After and that other one, Cinderella with Lily James.
Yeah.
And like maybe a few here and there, but like at this point I feel like the good ones are like not worth the amount of like time and money being spent on all the other ones,
Yeah. Like specifically with Disney live action remakes,
it's
boo, too enthusiastic, middle fingers up. Like, this sucks.
Thumbs down.
Bad. Cinderella, I felt like was their test, right? They're like, is this gonna work? Oh, we got a lot of money from this. Let's see what else we can do.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of doing movies from, 70, 80 years ago, they're doing Moana.
Like movies
The
that we
live action
just
Cinderella
saw.
came out before Moana. At this point, they're gonna do a remake of their Cinderella remake.
Yeah.
It just like
Yeah, Moana like
and
just came out.
it just came out.
Like what,
The thing
2015?
something like that.
It's
Less than a
recent.
decade.
It's been less than 10 years. Why not
Yeah.
remake like an old story that used to be beloved but has kind of like fallen by the wayside, and you could like bring up a new audience to love and appreciate it.
Yeah, like Sword in the Stone.
Mhm.
That's not Disney, right? No, that's Disney.
The Sword in the Stone? Yeah.
Yeah. Am I going crazy? Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
one with
was like
Merlin and he's wearing those cute little Bermuda shorts.
the little gay outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh, it's
one.
awesome.
He's
That's the
slamming.
biggest outfit in the entire world.
My friend Al dresses exactly like that
Yeah.
every single day. She's my hero. But yeah, like and the thing is I don't even want them to do that at this point because they've proven over the last 10 live action remakes that they've done that they're either not going to do they're gotta calm down a little bit.
Hmm.
Either they're going to make it, a word for word copy, but make it worse because they made it boring, like The Lion King, or
Hmm.
they're going to take it so far out of left field that it has no connection really to the original, like you were saying. So, like, at that point, why not just make a new movie
Hmm.
without the connection to the original? Because you watch Mulan, you go into it expecting, okay, I'm going to have a talking dragon named Mushu, voiced by Eddie Murphy.
Hmm.
I'm going to have a fun time. There's going to be some slamming music. It's gonna be good. But what did they do instead? They took out the music, they took out the talking dragon, the two best parts of the original,
Absolutely.
and then they put the story and the characters up in a blender. They poured it out, and then they rinsed out the bottle and they were like, "Oh, there's still something left in here. Let's use that." Made it into a movie. It
Mm.
is so dull, so lifeless. All of these live action remakes that Disney specifically has been doing have been made completely without any heart, thought, care whatsoever. You can tell that no one cares about that project. And that's, I think, what shows through is with a
Yeah,
movie like
like
Cinderella.
if somebody is so like literally every person is so clearly just in it for the check, like maybe not
You
worth.
can tell.
Yeah.
Exactly. You feel the difference as a viewer. Like with Cinderella, and the reason why it remains one of their best remakes that they've done is because you care about it. You can tell that everyone there cared about it. Kit Harington had the time of his life. Lily James really loved, stepping into that role. It was like her first big role, if I'm thinking correctly. And
Yeah.
it was just a really fun project all the way around. And every one that they've done since then has just steadily declined in, thought. And that's what makes it really sad as a viewer because these are beloved stories. And to have someone who, it's similar to the Star Wars sequels. Watching the third one, you can just tell they're saying their lines so half-heartedly. And these
Yeah.
are professional actors. They're really good
Yeah.
actors. And that's just
Somehow
sad.
Palpatine returned. I mean, there's no way you could say that seriously.
Oscar Isaac, if you're listening, you deserve like a medal for getting
Yeah.
through that.
A Purple
I
Heart.
a Purple Heart. He went into The Force Awakens like, oh man, Finn and Poe,
Yeah.
man, they're gonna get together. We're gonna have the time of our lives. It's gonna be fantastic. They went into that with so much passion and fire.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
It's
sad.
so sad. Like this is a conversation that we've had so many times. You shouldn't have to be tired of making a Star Wars movie. Are you kidding me? Like they used to be awesome.
No, what happened?
That's like a lot of people's dream.
Yeah, I wonder where they went wrong. I wonder if it was because maybe they hired directors who didn't collaborate with each other and didn't really care about the original story, and instead of hiring people that did care about the original stories, that's what they did instead. And so they had nowhere to go, and they had to work with what each other gave them, which just made it worse.
Hmm.
Something like that, maybe. I don't know.
It's almost like a group project that went wrong. So you're like giving them all these like characters and plot points specifically so that they'll fail. They're like, I was
Yes.
gonna make something cool, but out of spite, what if Palpatine returns? What are you gonna do about
Yes.
that? You know, like trying to give each other a challenge that they can't overcome. You know what I mean? Like it
Yes.
just feels so petty. And I know that's not what happened. It's just that like the writers and directors like didn't coordinate. But
Yeah.
that's like also bad. Like you might as well just be like on purpose trying to screw somebody over.
Yeah, because what else can you do? It's not like you can fix it. So yeah, just lean into it, make it worse. I know that Ryan Johnson got a lot of crap for uh the second one. But you know, we can tell he's a really, really phenomenal director. I knew several people who wouldn't watch Knives Out because they saw him in Rise of Skywalker or freaking Last Jedi and they hated it and they were like,
Right.
he's clearly a sucky director, he doesn't know what he's doing. When he does, he has a very good grasp like of
Yeah.
the characters and the Star Wars universe in general. But what was he supposed to do? They didn't have a plan for these movies. J.J. Abrams set him up with a, you know, and he's like, okay, guess I'll, you know, like set it. And
Mhm.
J.J. Abrams spiked it up back on his own side.
Yeah.
Everyone lost, and it's everyone's fault.
Anyway, you know who's doing a really good job of making a trilogy? Spider-Verse, which we will talk about some other time
Yes, yes.
because it's not a remake. We
It's
have
not a
got to
remake.
stay focused.
Yes, because we're also talking about sequels now as well.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be for a different thing.
No. A lot of the problem too is we talked about this with adaptations, the medium that they're using. Like, are they embracing the medium? We talked about how Pride and Prejudice, you know, really leaned into this cinematic approach where, you know, we're gonna make this, if we're gonna make it into a movie, we're gonna make it a movie, you know?
Mhm.
And Joe Wright, phenomenal job. He knocked it out of the park. 11 out of 10. Easy. But with a lot of these live action remakes, part of the charm of the original is that they were animated. You know, you can't
Mhm.
really have talking animals in real life. It doesn't work. You can't have talking teapots. It just doesn't really come across as the same. But you can do things in animation that you can't do with live action. And making live action movies seem like the end all be all to film, like that's what you aspire to be. You know, no one just wants to be an animated movie. You want to be a live action movie.
You're right.
When
Because
The
it's
Lion
better
King,
or whatever.
yes, it's yeah, it's better. Like
It's almost never better.
I think we could just say like take the almost out. It's never better.
Mhm.
There's nothing that you can do with live action that can't already be done with animation, but better.
Right. And yeah, be more like intuitive or more expressive or
Yeah.
some other thing.
I read an article this past week about the new live action Little Mermaid.
Mhm.
And people have a lot of issues with it that come down to being racist, but we don't need to
Yeah.
get into that.
No, those are not good
Um,
issues to have. Get over it.
no, like I agree. I think the movie is stupid, and I think that they should just make more content for like Black people to have. Like it just it feels so condescending,
Right.
you
It's
know,
like
like
again, just
here,
make another movie.
yes, just make a fresh one for this girl who I'm sure is a phenomenal actress. I'm not gonna watch the movie. I don't know, but
Yeah,
like,
like I haven't seen
why?
it. I'm probably not going to, but like if she
No,
has
I'm
this
sure
opportunity to
she
work with a huge studio and be like the most talked about actress, like why not
give her a
like give
fresh
her her
chance.
own movie?
Yeah, don't just give someone like someone else's work as like an app. Oh, you know what? Here, you can do this remake for it. Like it feels so
You can do this
condescending, you
one, but
know?
it'll be like special because now it's representative of a different group than it was before.
Yeah, like good
Wouldn't
job.
that be nice?
Make new stories. Do
Yeah.
better. Anyway, so if you don't like her because she's Black, then you're racist and wrong.
Mhm.
But also like they shouldn't have made the
But you
movie in the
don't
first
have to
place.
like the
But
movie.
exactly. And part of the one of the points that the article was making was the scene where she's, you know, singing Part of Your World and she pulls herself up onto the rock, you know, and her hair is like kind of flying everywhere and the wave suspends in the air for a moment behind her.
Mhm.
It's this very beautiful cinematic moment,
Mhm.
but you have that in live action. Her hair falls just completely flat because
Because
it's wet,
it's soaking wet.
because it's soaking wet. The
Mhm.
water, it doesn't actually float in the air like that. It just falls straight down. And so it the whole moment quite literally falls flat.
Mhm.
because you don't have the charm of the original. Animation can do things that
Right.
live action can't.
Ariel's
And that's
side
fine.
boobs can be this big and constantly voluminous. Who cares?
Yes.
That's fine. She's animated and made up. Hello?
Yeah.
Like, why are we looking at these things that are like so charming and being like, well, we could do that again, but in real life? It doesn't, it's not better.
No, it's not.
No.
Yeah. Part of the fun thing too is that they are like it's like Disney's retconning themselves almost because I think I sent you that thing where they like change in the lyrics to songs. You know, they did this in
Oh,
Beauty and the Beast where they like fixed the timeline a little bit, or they like answered questions about like, oh, the Wicked Witch, she cast a spell on the town so that no one remembered them. You know, they did that stuff. And then with Little
right.
Mermaid, they fixed the lyrics to be like consensual or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's like
just,
they're using it as a chance, like an opportunity to like, no, we've never been problematic
yeah, they just
ever.
have to
We've
prove
never had.
themselves as like that they're woke and they're aware of what's going on,
Yes,
which is like,
yes,
if you're not, don't put yourself up to be. Like, we all know what's really going on here and it's fine. Like, you're not hiding anything.
yeah,
You're not changing my mind about anything. And also,
no,
like, I feel like there are a lot of, there's definitely a place for like problematic things, or like things that would not be okay in real life are okay in movies. First of all, because they're fake. Secondly, because they maybe provide an opportunity to have a conversation, right? If you're like talking to a kid, you can have the conversation of like, oh, if you want to kiss somebody, like, it's better to ask instead of just assuming or going off of body language.
hmm,
It's just better that way, right? But in the movie, she like literally has to go off of body language.
that's all she has.
That's all she has. So like, it's an interesting element that she like has to figure out how to use that to her advantage and make sure they are like actually communicating well, even though she can't talk and she has to rely on body language.
Exactly. Also,
If you wanted
body
to make,
language is perfectly. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, I think it's true. Body language is like perfectly fine if you like, if you're on the
It
same
is. She's
page.
being very clear with her body language. Like it is
Yeah,
very community. She is like facing. She's leaning in. You know, she's very much
there's definitely a
like
way to communicate it without having to say. And it's
like
important, it's an important
explicitly.
conversation to have. Like, sometimes it's
Yeah,
okay to ask outright, and sometimes you don't have to if you know for sure that that's what this person means when they're communicating this way. My other thing was, if you're going to make like a live action remake of The Little Mermaid, instead of just copy and pasting it with a different person, you could maybe have her like learn sign language or something.
oh,
You know what
that's
I mean? So
cool.
then it's like, it's something cool and new that we didn't see in the original movie, but that's still true to the original character and story. You know what I mean?
What if it's a deaf prince
Like, why are we just using like
and he already
frame
knows
for
sign like, oh
frame
my gosh. Yeah,
the exact
I
same
got
show instead of something new, right? Yeah, Eric is deaf.
I just got caught up in it. Yeah, I was like, oh, that would have been so cool.
And you see how
You
easy
can
it
do
is.
new
You see
stories.
how easy it is to do new stories and still be true to the original. And you also see how easy it is to just like come up with better ideas than what Disney has.
Honestly.
Like, it's not
I think
hard. This is my point. Like,
no.
if you have to like, there's some element of the story where like, oh, she can't, she's mute for whatever reason. Like, figure out how to work with that in a fun and modern way instead of just like keeping the story exactly the same, except like live action because it's better,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And on
casting
the
a
subject
different
of
actress so that it's more woke. Like,
yeah,
just be
yeah, good for you, Disney. You're doing great. That's a
be
lie.
normal. Yeah.
Be normal. I have never in my life wanted to see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie ever. I've never had the desire. I didn't grow up watching it. I don't have the nostalgia for it. I actively want to watch that movie. It's
Yeah.
amazing because the animation style is so unique and fun and fresh. It looks
And it's like,
really
that's how it's
good.
supposed to be. Like, it's like
Yes, because
such a
it's
creative
animation.
art. Like, yeah. I
Yeah,
will
and
say
that's
that
I
they
think
made
oh,
a live action Ninja Turtles movie in the past that was, of course, horrible. Because how are you going to cast a man? and then CGI him into a turtle.
Oh
It was bad, but this one looks good because it's again true to like the art form of animation, but it's still like, you know, adding like fun and different elements as we advance in technology and as we advance in what people are interested in. Now we can make something that's like fresh.
Yeah. And I love that and Spider-Verse started this. And Puss in Boots,
Absolutely.
Cole and the Last Wish, followed very successfully in its footsteps as well. And now Spider-Verse was like, what if we dialed it up to 11? And it's exquisite, but I love that they're pushing the boundaries on what animation can be, because it's literally, you have infinite possibilities. You have restrictions with live action that you don't have with animation. You can do so much creatively, as long as people have humane working conditions. People clearly cared about those projects. They were given so much freedom and liberty to do what they wanted and make it feel so unique and new and thoroughly entertaining and visually stunning to watch. And I love that there's now this like revolution of, oh, animation can be whatever we want. And I think that will be the thing that will stop Disney making these live action remakes and hopefully like reinvigorate the industry. It's what it needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to see like so many things being animated that are like good stories. And so I feel like part of the problem that people have had in their mindset is that like animation is like for children.
Yeah.
And then the only like adult like cartoons or adult animated series are like not good.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, obviously animation's not that good and it's just for kids, when it's like there's clearly so many possibilities. And now that we're making movies that like everybody enjoys, and you can see the actual like potential and intelligence of animation. Hopefully we'll have like movies that are made animated like on purpose and not just because it's a kids movie. You know what I mean? Like I would just love to see like a movie for grown-ups that's also animated. Like that shouldn't be like a completely unheard of thing.
Yes, absolutely. Because people treat animation like it's a genre when it's not. It's a medium. Two different things. Okay.
Okay.
Bye. I'm going to talk while you're gone. Okay, while she's not here, I'm going to say that Ghostbusters 2016 is an underrated movie. It's really fun. It's, the original Ghostbusters is just kind of also stupid. People who are nostalgic for it, like, that's fine. That's a valid thing. Nostalgia is like a very real phenomenon to make you very fond of a movie, but it's also just kind of stupid. And the 2016 Ghostbusters also was a little stupid. And that's fine. It doesn't have to be a cinematic masterpiece. It can just be stupid and just enjoy it. Like, that's all it needs to be.
Are you done?
Yeah.
You're good.
Were you just letting me talk?
Yeah. It seemed like you were at the end of the sentence, so I was like, but for privacy.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't really want anyone else to be a part of that.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's like it's doing exactly what it's meant to. Like if its goal is to be kind of like silly and campy and entertaining, it's got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the Batman 2022,
Okay.
baby.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah. First of all, the casting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's all right.
I didn't mind it. I think it's like I feel like it's everything that we've kind of been talking about, like in terms of staying true to like original characters, but still providing a new story that you haven't like already seen shot for shot.
Yes. One of the fun things is because you have the Batman and the Joker, and those are the main villains. It was really fun to see a different one on screen. it's also really fun because one of the comments that I saw about this movie specifically a lot was that it was really fun to see him be a detective, because a
Yeah,
lot of times we just see him be
we don't really
like
see
beating
that
people up.
element. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was really fun to have this be like a crime movie. I'm like, oh, he's gonna figure things out. He's got clues. He being
Yeah.
a detective, baby. He got the
And
magnifying
he's
glass out
not
and
very good
everything.
because he doesn't know anybody who speaks Spanish.
No,
That's such a funny like plot point. It's just like
really
if
is.
anybody could translate a simple phrase correctly, the movie would be like 45 minutes shorter. That's awesome. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
Colin Farrell had to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, y'all are dumb as shit.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite things about it is it's the clue is rat with wings, right?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that you freaking think of when you hear rat with wings?
It's for sure like, a pigeon.
Right. Yeah, pigeon. Like, not a freaking bat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the dumb thing is, that wasn't even the like clue.
Yeah.
That's what. But the fact that no one thought about it, it
At
was Colin
all.
Farrell's like joke suggestion, and I was like,
I know,
yeah,
it's like it's
no,
not
he's
really
right.
like, yeah, don't call it such a throwaway when it's like a pretty good answer actually.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know, is it like a turkey vulture? Those are two different animals already. Like,
Come on,
is it like a
Robert.
when pigs fly? Like they just go so far left field from what they're actually supposed to be talking
It's
about.
not even
Why
close.
can nobody guess like maybe it's a bat? Or maybe it's, like there's only so many options. It's a flying
uh,
squirrel. Stop it.
you're stupid rich boy.
Learn
Oh,
Spanish, idiot.
this is, of course, all, at least on my side, it's completely affectionate. I love him.
Mhm.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does,
Oh,
really, for
he,
like that whole
that's true.
movie.
He's just kind of chilling. Oh, no. It's really good. I mean, Robert Pattinson was a phenomenal casting choice.
Mhm.
Um, one that I doubted, for one, when I first heard about it. So he did a really good job. He really leaned into like the, sad, wet, emo side of Batman.
Mhm.
That's a little bit of a
Which is
freak
another
that
thing
we
that
haven't.
we just don't see a lot.
No.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's Batman was a freak, but we haven't
Mhm.
seen him since the 80s. That dude is straight up whack. And that's good. That's really fun. He's also like a total um hermit.
Yeah.
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 He's the city's cryptid. That's great.
It's really good. I think it's just refreshing to see like because there are so many elements of this character and only certain of them have been like kind of portrayed or laid into for such a long time that it's just refreshing
Yeah.
to see like, oh, this is clearly the same character. Like it's still based on the same works, but
Yes, yes.
we're focusing on different like aspects of the character that are so much more interesting. It's like Lego Batman.
Hmm. Lego Batman's fun. That's straight
Mhm.
up a really good Batman movie.
Mhm. And
Um,
those movies are actually, just as a side note, another really good example of like how you can use animation in like a fun and creative and
yes.
different way from what people are expecting.
Yeah, I think that is a really good summary of it. Like it's fresh, it's unique, it's new. It leans into the familiar aspects of the character while still making something interesting and fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it a bunch of times and it's still really entertaining for me to see it because it's very well made, very thoughtful, and everyone in the project clearly cared a lot about it. I see a lot of like interviews from each of the actors and how much thought they put into their how they were gonna portray this character. Uh Zoe Kravitz. That's Catwoman, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's her name. Okay. Her nails, down to the nails, like she didn't want any color on them. She wanted them to be natural, to look more like a normal cat.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, that her nails just didn't have any color on them. That's not something that I would have picked up on, but the fact that she put that much thought into it, like
Mm-hmm.
down to her fingernails,
I think it's
like
something that
clearly
we've
they
like
have a lot of
mentioned.
passion for the project.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
go
something
ahead.
that we've mentioned before that just like the attention to detail, even if nobody else is going to notice it, is like part of what makes something great and like lasts so long.
Yes. Yeah. Because it just enriches the world. Everything
Mhm.
about it will feel more real the more detail that you have in it.
Mhm. And like you can
Yeah.
take pride in your work and your thought process even if nobody like pays attention to it, you know. If you know that you're going in to work on a project with a character that people already know and love and care about, like you should have that approach of like how can I like do justice to this character, like how can I portray this in a way that people will like and enjoy because they already know this person, right? It's a different
Yeah.
thing from like if you're just making a brand new story, you still should be thoughtful in the way that you approach the character, but it's not the same level of like that you have to kind of like treat this with like respect and excitement.
Yeah. You don't have any expectations attached to it because it's
Mm-hmm.
coming out of nowhere. Just new.
Exactly. And I think people
Yeah.
just like now it's just so like common and blasé to make a live action remake of some other thing that I feel like people don't treat their job with like care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
Just
same problem with
another
like
paycheck.
yeah, watching the like the Star Wars sequel actors come in for the first time and they're excited because this is a big deal for a lot of people. These are movies that they grew up with that now they get to be a part of, right? You see that
Yeah.
element of like excitement and respect
Versus
versus just like
where
whatever,
they
this is
ended
just
up.
another movie.
Yeah. I think and I haven't watched like the new seasons of Doctor Who or anything, but one of the things that I heard about Jodie Whittaker's character is that, or Jodie Whittaker's like role is that she was specifically told not to watch any of the previous iterations of the character. None of the shows. She had never seen it going into it.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't and the producers told her not to watch, not to do any research on it so that she could come into it fresh and like not burdened by any of the other performances.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've heard, she did as good a job as the show allowed her to do, given like the script and the
Yeah,
stories and everything.
which seems pretty true of the show as a whole after a certain point.
Yeah, yeah.
Like these are really
Um,
talented individuals who like have to play the cards they're dealt.
yes, exactly. But that's just such a stupid thing to say. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't want you to be burdened by any of these past iterations. That's part of the character, is to be
Yeah,
burdened by these paths. Like that's a
that's
pretty,
true.
I
Like
would argue that's pretty essential.
especially for that character, it's important to know like what all the past iterations have done and been through. Like that's like
Yeah.
because it's the same character. Like it's the same person every time. Whereas like if you were like if it's like a remake or an adaptation of some other thing and
Yeah. Like James Bond.
you're not playing the next life of the same person, you're playing a different version of the same person. It's like maybe a
Yeah, that's
different thing,
different.
but it's still important to like have done some research, like to be familiar with it. That's your job.
Yes.
And
You're
they're like,
not supposed to
hang
just
on,
go up and read lines.
don't do your job. Don't do your job. We don't want you to be burdened by like knowing what you're doing. We want you to go in blind. We want you to read the lines without having seen the rest of the script. We want you to not know any of the plot so we can change it at any moment. We want you to be
Yeah,
as
you
vague
don't know
as
who you're
possible
talking
in
to.
interviews, so that you can't give away any spoilers. And then we're going to have to remake the movie last minute.
I'm just, hold on, I'm gonna
Sleep with one eye open is all we're saying.
sleep with one eye open. The passion bleeds through a project, both the presence of it and the lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And if an actor doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know who they're talking to, doesn't know the plot of the movie or the journey of the character, how on earth could they possibly have any passion for that project whatsoever? You're setting them up to fail. And
Right.
that is like just so incredibly disrespectful to filmmaking as an art, to the people who have made it their passion, their life's work,
Mm-hmm.
and to the viewers who go in expecting to be taken away by a film.
Mm-hmm.
There's simply no good that comes from it, and
Yeah.
it's disappointing.
True. And what you say about like for people who make it their like passion and life's work, that's not just the people who are like cast in that particular movie. That's like
No,
literally every person who wants to go into any aspect of filmmaking or
that's
like
the set
performance, right?
designers,
This is like
the character or the costume designers.
mhm.
They have degrees in
Or
those
any
things.
you can't
So
imagine
frustrating.
anybody for like a today Marvel movie like sitting down with their script and being like doing character work. They're like, I have to understand this character. Like when I'm learning these
Right.
lines, you know what I mean? Like they're just kind of given the lines now with the rest of the script redacted.
They're not allowed to know where their character's going. They get
Yeah.
like one scene per day.
You don't get to have any motivation. You don't get to have any relationships. You don't get to have, I don't know, emotion. Nobody's going to relate to you.
It's like the difference between having a good home cooked meal, even a really simple one like chicken and potatoes and
Mm-hmm.
broccoli, you know? Like that's really simple. It's really easy to make, right? Um, versus like eating a packet of Pop Rocks for dinner,
Yeah.
you know? Like it's flashy, yeah, tastes good in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but like any substance,
Yeah, there's no
nope.
substance. It's not
Yeah,
filling and it's not something that you have put effort into.
yeah,
Like food tastes good when it's real food and also when it's like homemade and also when you get to make it and have ownership of it. It tastes better that way.
yeah.
So why are we not like allowing performers and artists and technicians to have ownership over the things that they're making? And we're just kind of throwing money wherever
Yeah.
and like making a third iteration of Pinocchio in the same year or something. Like
Yeah, like
what was
let
the
it
point
be.
of that?
Yeah. Overall, remakes should be treated very, very carefully
Mm-hmm.
unless you have a very like solid plan going into it to improve upon the original while still remaining faithful to it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have another point to make before us. The movie Rango, another phenomenally animated film, like phenomenal, so good. It's got its own animation style. It's got its own way of telling the story. It's weird,
Mm-hmm.
really good. I recommend it
Super
to
fun.
everybody,
Super
and
fun.
anyone who doesn't like it is just wrong.
That's true.
Um, but uh, it's a Western film, right? So it plays on all the like classic Western tropes, but it still creates its own new story. And that's what humanity has done from the beginning of time, right? You know, that's what makes Rango a good Western film, is because it, stays faithful to its roots while still creating something new and interesting. And that's what remakes and adaptations are supposed to do as well. Are you doing it just for cash grab? Or are you doing it because you say, I love this story, but I have a really, really interesting way of making it different and better?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you're coming from? From a place of passion, from a place of thought and care and love? Do you
Mm-hmm.
love the original story? Do you love the original genre? Do you love this trope? Show it, you know?
Right.
Show us how much you care about it, genuinely care about it and love it, and show us what you can do with it, because every story from the beginning of time is just like, we just see so many of the same thing over and over and over again. That's not a bad thing. That's what humanity is. We just tell stories. We love stories. You should be making stories your own, because that's what we've been doing from the dawn of time. Is you can tell the same stories again, but like, does that make sense? So the point of this is not to say that like remakes inherently are bad, but there's just a right and a wrong way to do them. And a lot of what we're doing today is just wrong. And that's the professional opinion of these women in STEM.
We who have
Doctors
a
who you can
doctorate.
trust.
Yes.
Yes.
We are doctors whom you can trust. And we say it's very human to want to create something new, and it's very corporate to want to create the same thing again so that people will keep buying the same thing.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Thanks for
I'm good.
listening. Tune in next week where we'll talk about something else probably.
Probably.